Ever found yourself watching a crime show and hearing terms like misdemeanor and felony thrown around, and you're just nodding along, pretending to know the difference? Yeah, me too, but what do they actually mean? Stick around, because by the end of this video, you'll be a mini expert on the topic. First, let's get the big picture. Both misdemeanors and felonies are categories of criminal offenses, but they sit on completely different levels of a ladder of seriousness. Think of it like this. A misdemeanor is like getting a detention in school, while a felony is like getting expelled. Both are bad, but one has far more severe and lasting consequences. The main distinction between the two boils down to the potential punishment, specifically the length of incarceration and where that time is served. Let's start with misdemeanors. These are the less serious crimes. We're talking about things like petty theft, simple assault, disorderly conduct, or maybe a first-time DUI in some states. The key here is the punishment. If you're convicted of a misdemeanor, the maximum time you can be incarcerated is typically up to 1 year. And this is an important detail: that time is usually served in a local or county jail, not a state or federal prison. Jails are generally for short-term sentences, while prisons are for long-term confinement. Besides potential jail time, misdemeanor penalties can also include fines, probation, community service, or mandatory counseling or classes. While a misdemeanor conviction is definitely not something you want on your record, its impact is generally less devastating than a felony. For instance, it might not automatically prevent you from voting or owning a firearm, although this can vary significantly by state. Think of misdemeanors as the legal system's way of saying, you messed up and there are consequences, but we see a path for you to move forward without this defining your entire life. Now, let's climb that ladder to felonies. This is where things get serious. Felonies are the most severe types of crimes, and the legal system treats them as such. We're talking about offenses like murder, robbery, arson, kidnapping, and drug trafficking. The defining characteristic of a felony is the potential punishment. A conviction can lead to imprisonment for more than 1 year, and in the most extreme cases, it can mean life in prison or even the death penalty in jurisdictions that have it. And remember that distinction between jail and prison. Felony sentences are served in state or federal prisons, which are much larger, more secure facilities designed for long-term inmates. The consequences of a felony conviction extend far beyond prison walls and are often lifelong. These are often called collateral consequences. In many states, a convicted felon loses fundamental civil rights. This can include the right to vote, the right to serve on a jury, and the right to own a firearm. This isn't temporary. For some, these rights are lost forever or are very difficult to restore. But it doesn't stop there. A felony on your record can create massive barriers in your everyday life. Finding a job becomes incredibly difficult, as many employers run background checks and are hesitant to hire someone with a felony conviction. Forget about careers in law enforcement, education, or healthcare. Those are often completely off the table. Finding housing can also be a nightmare, as landlords frequently deny applications from felons. Even getting a professional license, like for being a barber, an electrician, or a real estate agent, can become impossible. A felony follows you, creating a permanent stigma that can affect your ability to rebuild your life long after you've served your time. So, how is it decided if a crime is a misdemeanor or a felony? It's all laid out in state and federal laws, which we call statutes. Each statute that defines a crime will also specify its classification. For example, a state's law against theft might say that stealing something worth less than $1,000 is a misdemeanor, while stealing something worth more than $1,000 is a felony. These thresholds and definitions can vary a lot from one state to another, which is a crucial point. An act that's a misdemeanor in one state could be a felony just across the state line. To make things a bit more complex, Some crimes are known as wobblers. No, that's not a toy. It's a legal term for an offense that can be charged as either a misdemeanor or a felony. The decision rests with the prosecutor, who will look at the specific details of the case and the defendant's criminal history. Factors like whether a weapon was used, the amount of harm caused, and the defendant's prior record can wobble the charge up to a felony or down to a misdemeanor. A good defense attorney will often fight hard to get a wobbler charge reduced from a felony to a misdemeanor because, as we've discussed, that difference is life-altering. Let's recap the key differences in a simple way. 1. Severity. Felonies are the most serious crimes. Misdemeanors are less serious. 2. Punishment. The potential sentence for a misdemeanor is up to 1 year in a local jail. For a felony, it's more than a year in a state or federal prison. 3. Consequences. A misdemeanor has penalties, but a felony carries severe, often permanent collateral consequences, like losing the right to vote, own a gun, and facing major hurdles in employment and housing. Understanding this distinction is not just for crime show fans. It's fundamental to understanding our justice system and the profound, long-term impact it can have on a person's life. A criminal charge is not just a single event. Its classification as a misdemeanor or a felony sets a person on one of two very different paths. One path is difficult, but the other can feel like a dead end. It highlights the immense power of prosecutors and the importance of having skilled legal representation if you ever find yourself in that situation. The difference isn't just a word, it's a world of difference. I hope this clears things up for you. It's a heavy topic, but an important one to grasp. If you found this video helpful and learned something new, do me a huge favor and hit that like button. And for more deep dives into interesting topics, make sure you subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so you don't miss our next video. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.